All right, let's get this party started. A boom. No, that was right. No. Okay, so we've already beaten Lavos once. Yeah. Amanda, Canada, how you guys doing today? All right, more Chrono Trigger shenanigans. Let's go ahead and save here at the end of time. Hiding from your studies? Similarly. Not really studies per se. Uh, I have more hobby stuff that I should be doing, but I'm not doing. So, okay. Give me a sec here. I need to. I know that I said that I was going to do this last time, but I 100% didn't. Let's figure out where we need to go next. Okay, we're gonna have to do the Ocean Palace. We've already gotten Beyond Time. That's our first ending. Yeah, you can always, if you have the link to the Discord server, you can always hop in and just say hello. Let's see. I'm going to need to play the game through until, yeah, I'm going to need to play the game until I can get until I can get Epic. After Guardia. Alright. Yeah, we're gonna do the thing. So that means go to the Mystic Mountains. Go to Protodome. Go to Medina Village. Mystic Mountains. Wing! So I hope that everybody has had a lovely day. I have been working on Marvel Crisis Protocol minis, and the glue fumes got to me eventually, and I was like, oh, I can't do this anymore today. Fortunately,
Legit.
yeah, it is. Those minis have some tiny little pieces. Like I had to glue on a dude's elbow pads for the Baron Zemo mini, and
That was not where I thought that sentence was going.
no, it was very tricky. So I'm like hunched over, with like a pair of magnifying goggles, uh, functionally just huffing plastic glue, which I do not recommend.
Yeah, we finally got some rain here, which I'm super excited about. Also, that is not a sentence I utter very often, but another place in my province burned to the ground, so
I
I'm just
mean,
very thankful that there's rain.
yeah, we're kind of still switching weather. We've gotten more rain, and it's still colder than it should be in the summer, and y'all are still dealing with our heat. You could stop that at any time.
It's cooled down the past couple of days. Which I'm also grateful for.
Just think, as soon as I get these other endings, Jess, you're gonna have to walk me through Disgaea.
I'm looking forward to it.
Let's see. I have forgotten where I'm going. The village. Aha. What up, Ioka Hut? So, aside from provinces burning down, how are things going up in the Great White North?
Well, looks like we're gonna have a snap election soon.
Between whom?
Oh, federal. With our more than two parties.
What? You can do that? Suddenly, I feel like we've been lied to.
Yes, it's rather controversial because it's difficult to sort of see what the election would be about other than Trudeau's desire for a majority.
See, I worry, like, I would love to see more parties, you know, like, American politics are, you're pretty much dealing with neoliberal capitalism versus conservative capitalism. I would love to see, like, an actual socialist party. If such a thing, you know, can possibly be imagined by our mindset. Not currently very likely. If such a thing were to gain any kind of traction, I would. The moment that somebody forms a "let's all go to Washington and punch Ted Cruz directly in the face" party, I am joining.
I feel like you might want to reserve that domain name.
That's like a really good point.
Yes, in more fulsome answer to your question, Amanda, the government of the day could basically declare an election at any time by asking the Governor General to dissolve Parliament. It's unusual that a majority government would do that unless there's some sort of overwhelming reason. Doesn't have to be a good reason. They could do it to avoid facing down a scandal, but generally speaking, there is an identifiable reason why a majority government would do this. For a minority government, such as we have right now, it can be a little bit more unstable. Like, we just had an election in 2019, so it's normally, in the normal course of things, the government would last for longer, but it's not unusual for minority government to fall, either because it loses confidence in the House or because the Prime Minister thinks that they can attain a majority by calling an election.
How bizarre.
I guess minority governments aren't really a thing in the U.S.
I mean, kind of. We have a bunch of, like, procedural shenanigans that that various parties play. Like, they're not able to hold an election to establish a majority in their favor. They can just kind of, like, stonewall the legislative process so that nothing gets done. Yeah, so like currently we're dealing with a deal where none of the Republicans are voting for any of Biden's or the Democrat anything that comes up from the Democrat-run House and the Democrat-led Senate won't have the. Is it the House or Senate votes to pass? Amanda, remind me. I've been so disillusioned with all of it that I stopped paying attention, kind of. Yeah, so, like, we have two Democrat senators, Sinema and Manchin, who have kind of decided that they can squeeze a little bit more out of Senate proceedings by siding with the Republicans to stall bills. So we're, like, razor-thin margins, and it's a gigantic pain in everybody.
Yeah, there have been a number of instances where various parties have filibustered committee meetings, running up the clock such that the committee doesn't accomplish what it set out to do. I mean, there's no sort of one party that's to blame for that, but it is something of a function of a minority government that this type of situation can occur.
Yeah, ours is very much, we know who to blame.
I should say that it's not, that blame is not obvious is my opinion. That
Yeah.
that may be a controversial statement.
That's okay, we don't have that many viewers. There won't be that many people that can be shocked. Yeah, in our case, it's very much the
take on Canadian politics on John's gaming stream.
Right?
Oh my god.
Hey, it's good for me to learn. We like as Americans, we often lose sight that that there are people that do things differently. But like the idea that somebody could just be like, you know what, new election time, let's go. That's wild to me.
Yeah, well, I mean, there is supposedly a fixed election date law, but it is honored more in the breach than the observance.
Huh.
Yeah, we had a provincial election about pretty much the same thing as the federal election is going to be about recently. I am no more a fan of it now than I was then.
I think I did the exact same thing that I did in my first playthrough and came here when I didn't need to. Like some kind of fool.
Yes, so the major part, well, it's hard to define who counts as a major party, because some parties are definitely more major than others. There's the Liberal Party and the Conservative Party, which are the two parties which have, under various names, formed governments. Then there's the New Democratic Party, the leader of which is my local MP. Pundits tend to be opining that they are in a position to pick up seats during this election. Their leader was a relative unknown during the last election, and his TikTok game is strong. Let me just tell you, he played Among Us with AOC. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah, this is Singh, right?
Yeah, Jagmeet Singh.
Yeah.
Then there is the Bloc Québécois, which are always a bit of a wild card. They field candidates only in Quebec, and they can play a spoiler for most of the other parties. They have their strength recently has varied greatly, so it's kind of interesting. It'll be interesting to watch how they do. They were briefly reduced to not having official party status in some recent elections, aka they didn't win enough seats to be considered a big deal. That has not been the case recently. Yeah.
And these are the standard Quebec separatists, right?
Yeah, they have not been really emphasizing the whole separatist narrative recently. It doesn't play very well with the new generation. The last referendum was, within living memory, obviously. I remember seeing it on the TV, but there hasn't been a lot of rumblings about separatism recently. Now it's more sort of standing up for Quebec and Quebec values and official languages and bilingualism and all of that.
Amanda just said, even we Americans know the Quebecois are the wild card, but we often don't know why.
Well, it's Quebec kind of, again, my Canadian politics hot takes here. Apparently, I'm going to be doing this all night. Quebec kind of got hung up to dry during the process of Confederation. There was supposed to be a resistance by several provinces to Confederation and under the terms in which it was offered, and the Prime Minister of the day made a bunch of side deals with all the other provinces, but didn't talk to Quebec. So there was a series of constitutional negotiations which were meant to sort of bring Quebec in, but quite understandably, there was some trust issues about that, so made it difficult to reach consensus. And then, let's see. Yeah, there's the Black Quebecois. Then there's the Green Party, which are in serious disarray at the moment. The the higher ups in the party organization appear to have declared war on the party's democratically elected leader. So that's been fun to watch explode in real time. Then there are the People Party. Then is the People's Party of Canada, the vanity party led by a failed Conservative leadership candidate who failed to secure his own riding in the previous election, but is just utterly convinced that this is his time. Has been arrested several times for flouting public health laws and that sort of thing. There's another failed leadership candidate for the Conservative Party who's also apparently now trying to form his own party.
So like the Canadian version of, like, if Trump followed through on his threats to start his own party outside of the Republicans.
Well, except like Trump was actually nominated.
Yeah. Is it one of the Fords?
It is not one of the Fords. No, his name is Derek Sloan, and he was bounced from the after losing the leadership vote. He was bounced from the Conservative Party because of his, well, a series of things really. But the stated rationale was him accepting a donation from a known white supremacist.
So that counts against you guys.
Yes.
Oh, see, for us it gets you a job at Fox News.
Well, I mean, Rebel Media is kind of our answer to Fox News. Possibly you can get a job there, but they're not very...
Rebel Media. What rebellion do you guys have? You still have the Queen on your money.
Yeah, there was a Maclean's cover at one point entitled "The Resistance," which was all like mediocre-looking white dudes in suits. So I leave you to imagine what they were resisting.
Got it.
Yeah. So yeah, those are the parties in play. Although I've been hearing that Alberta is trying their best to have a separatist movement and to have a separatist party. I haven't heard too much about the hypothetical Maverick Party. I'm not sure if it's going to get off the ground in time. We will see. Yes. So those are all the parties. There's also some like smaller regional parties. Like I think there's Christian Heritage Party, which has literally never won a seat. Can't remember if the Rhinoceros Party is still around. They're fun.
Rhinoceros Party sounds like the name of my hypothetical thrash album.
We could add that to the roster of musical acts for my hypothetical future cyberpunk game.
Yeah. So Amanda asked, how is the pandemic going in your province, and is that affecting the snap election?
Yeah, I did see the question, but I didn't want to derail my long-winded explanation of the parties because I would forget where I was.
That's fair. We got time.
Here for several hours. I mean, we're doing okay in BC. We are having a fourth wave, but could be worse. We could be Alberta. We have been sort of like, the restrictions have mostly been lifted, except in specific places that have experienced outbreaks. Because the vaccination campaign has been pretty successful. We're definitely above the national average in terms of our vaccination rates. So that's well, Alberta just, despite the fact that they have the worst caseloads per capita in the country, just lifted all of their restrictions and then complained when Health Canada sent them a strongly worded letter going, "You didn't do this to BC." It's like, well, yeah, that's because we are being responsible, dipshits.
So very similar to Texas. Yeah, we're I think technically we're going through our second wave still, because we never really got out of the first. We decided that that mask restrictions and things like, not having in-person school was a detriment to our a detriment to our freedoms. And by we, I mean our leadership. So now Austin is in like single digits in terms of ICU beds. So.
Sorry, my brain was like, oh, only like 9 or less people are hospitalized. That's pretty good. But then I was like,
no, no, no. As in, we have less than 10 beds in Travis County. So,
it's brutal, and I'm sorry.
Yeah, but like, hey, what can you do when they don't listen to you?
Yeah, I read about that. The mask ban. Goodness me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, like there are parts of BC where there's some vaccine hesitancy, but even in our worst sort of municipality, a majority of people have been vaccinated now. Like I cannot understand what is happening in other places, including Alberta, where this is just this bizarre desire to pander to people who are vaccine hesitant and anti-maskers. I don't get it.
Yeah, it's just naked populism. And we keep seeing all of these stories that of like, oh, here's a guy who a broadcaster who is anti-mask who dies of COVID. It's like, yeah, that's what happens. Like, communicable diseases will kill you. That's just lightning all. But
in answer to the second part of your question, Amanda, from what I can tell, the speculation is that part of the rationale for the timing is that there was sort of a rally around the flag effect going on around the Trudeau government and our not terrible handling of the pandemic, and he would like to benefit from that, and that this is part of the reason why the election is going to be called. So.
These guys just do not care about. Yeah. Capitalizing on it. I mean, I can understand the appeal. I often wish that we could do the same, but it's never certain what the outcome will be.
Yeah, I mean,
frankly, I wouldn't have thought in 1,000 years that we would elect somebody like Donald Trump, but shows what I know.
Yeah. There has been some speculation in that there could be electoral costs to doing this, simply because there doesn't seem to be any rationale other than naked ambition for this election. And of course, that is my opinion. I'm sure liberal partisans think there are all kinds of valid reasons for calling an election, but I'm not one of them.
Right.
I sure hope there are consequences, because that strikes me as the only way to get people to stop doing stuff like this. It's not wise to call an election in the middle of a still ongoing pandemic. And I don't understand why people are defending these sorts of actions.
Well, because it's their team that stands to win.
Yeah, I remember I argued against the provincial election that got called, and the point that was made repeatedly on was, oh well, the BC Liberals would have done the same thing. It's like, well, yeah, I know, and it's not going to stop until we hold our people to the same.
It's still not cool.
Standard.
Yeah, it's accountability is a tough thing. Amanda and I were actually we had to do some shopping earlier today, and we saw a headline on a magazine that said, like the perfect family, the perfect murder, and the subheading was, this guy expected his powerful family to shield him from jail. And there's a part that's like, oh yeah, I mean that makes sense. That's what we've taught people that will do. Accountability is hard to find these days.
Yeah.
So I am sorry about your electoral shenanigans. At least you guys get you guys like Australia where they give you like free Tim Hortons if you vote or anything like that?
Sadly not. We get stickers and time off.
Time off? Communists. You're actually given time off to participate in electoral politics? That's wild.
You have to have a certain number of hours, a consecutive block of time clear in order to be able to vote. So if your normal shift would not allow you that, your employer has to either let you come late or leave early.
Ooh, fancy. I'm sure that we have something similar in the States that never gets used. Let's see. Save.
No, like as a citizen, I am disappointed. As a political scientist, I'm very happy to have an election because it's I might have a federal party leader come to my house.
Ooh.
It's always exciting.
Yeah, we're just gonna hit this guy with the hard stuff and get him out of the way. So you're avoiding your studies, eh?
Yep.
You're working on a advanced degree, yes? You're working on a master's, PhD? Which level?
PhD. I'm 92% of the way through my reading list for my second comprehensive exam.
Soon you shall be a doctor. Then I'll have to call you Dr. Canada. What is Oh, Taban is sweet. Is there like is there a particular term in Canada for doctorate studies? Like, do you get like? Again, I just assume that you guys are basically like an alien culture.
I'm not sure what you mean by that.
I mean, like we get, like sure, you become doctor, and you can be like, yeah, I have a PhD or I'm a medical doctor, waka waka waka. Do you guys have like some kind of I don't know, like Order of the Moose kind of thing? What's the?
I mean, there's the Order of Canada, but that's not really an academic thing. It's more for you can be nominated to be a member of the Order of Canada if you have done something exemplary.
Do we need to go? Let's see. Back in 1000 AD, got that. Where's our other? Hang on a sec here. I gotta.
And please, by all means, play the game that I am currently watching you play.
Yeah.
Is the ostensible reason for this gathering. By ostensible, I mean like legit, actual.
Well, I'm trying to recall because again, still a little bit woozy from glue fumes. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Truce Cane, 680. Now we're cooking with gas.
Yeah, the self-destruction of the Green Party has been a story I've been following quite closely because, like, on the one hand I don't understand, but on the other hand, I'm pretty sure I do. Enemy Paul is a black Jewish lady who is a lawyer. Which, if I was going to pick a fight with somebody, that is not who I would choose.
Right.
So I feel like she's had to put up with so much bullshit to get to where she is that, you know, that's not a fight you're going to win. Rumors of discord had been trickling out for months. There was sort of a leaked letter that the party had sent her that basically accused her of being an angry black woman. It was a whole thing. And then her staff were laid off. The party refused to advance her funding for her election campaign in her local riding. She didn't have a seat. If I was her, I'd be angry too. But, like, in this sense, it was, oh, you know, you're just being unreasonable.
Which black women love to be told.
Yeah, exactly. And it was definitely, like, racialized and gendered. The excerpts from this leaked letter that I saw, I was like, ooh, man, okay, you know, I have a feeling I know what's going on here. The party has pleaded poverty as the rationale for laying off their staff and you know, refusing her funding. She was muted in a virtual meeting when she tried to stick up for her staff that were being fired. This despite the fact that her fundraising numbers have actually been stronger than her predecessor's numbers in the previous year. So I suppose there could be more costs, I guess, but you know, it didn't make a lot of sense. Then there was a movement to have a confidence vote in her as leader. Then there was another movement to strip her of her party membership, which meant she could not be leader anymore.
Just coming at all sides, huh?
Yeah, the ostensible reason for this is that she had launched a lawsuit against the party. Near as I can tell, what actually happened is she sent a cease and desist order to people from the party council who've been harassing her now for months.
And it's just pushback from that.
Yeah. The latest about, so, you know, there was a press conference called, and there was an announcement that, you know, nope, you know, we've come to an agreement. There will be no confidence vote. This motion that, you know, to strip me of my party status will not be sustained. There is going to be a new election for the party council in August, and we'll see how things go from there.
Yikes.
So I thought this was over, and then apparently the aggrieved members of the party council have now launched a lawsuit using the party funds that they supposedly don't have, which, you know, was the rationale for all of the staffing cuts and refusing to fund their leader's election campaign.
Yeah, we plead poverty. Well, maybe not. We're not that broke.
There's a lawsuit against Enemy Paul and the mediator, who I guess or the arbitrator, who had sort of ruled on the party's attempts to oust their leader, or the party council's attempts to oust their leader. They're trying to argue in court that this person exceeded their mandate and came to an improper conclusion. So,
yikes.
All this on the eve of a probable federal election call.
So like our Green Party is functionally positioned now as at least as far as my now jaded and detached political awareness goes, it's functionally used as a spoiler to pull votes away from the Democrats.
The Green Party had three MLAs. Part of the other part of this situation is the leader had made a statement about the Israel-Palestine conflict, where she had sort of called for an end to violence, like a pretty milquetoast, middle of the line statement, and one of the Green MPs lost her entire shit and basically said, no, this is unacceptable. Like, we have to side with Palestine, otherwise known as not anything to do with the Greens' raison d'etre. And an aide to the leader made some intemperate remarks about defeating sort of anti-Semitic people in the party, and this blew up. The party insisted that she needed to fire this guy. She said, well, you could take that direction, and I'll tell you where to put it. Conveniently enough, apparently there had been ongoing discussions between this MP who lost her composure and the Liberal Party. So she crossed the floor immediately after this, which maybe that was the real reason. She subsequently lost her principles after, I guess, being told by the Liberal Party handlers that we don't say these sorts of things in the Liberal Party, and walked back her statement to be pretty much exactly what her former party leader had said. Well, violence is always unacceptable. Blah blah blah. We need a peaceful solution. Yada yada. So, aka her stated rationale for leaving the Green Party no longer applied, apparently. So, it's the whole thing.
Wow. Y'all's politics are like hopping.
So her writing is what I will be watching very closely on election night.
Let's see. Elder's house. I have to go here.
And I mean, the Green Party has a long history of being dogged with sort of unsavory sort of sense that there may be some anti-Semitic elements, which electing a black Jewish person as their leader, you would think would maybe set that to rest, except that it has very much not, due to the way that she has been treated.
That sounds like a hell of a pickle. We have our crew that just we decry anti-Semitism and then have one of our representatives say that climate change is caused by space lasers run by secret Jewish cabals. So.
Oh goodness.
Yeah. But they're very pro-Israel, so, take that for what you will. Let's see. Yeah, it's a big mess. Like, we just want healthcare, y'all.
Yeah.
We'd really like to not die of this pandemic, and maybe if billionaires could pay their taxes, that'd be phenomenal. That'd be super cool. I'd really like that.
Yeah.
I think that'd be neat. I'd like to see it once. I've heard that it happens in other places, but that might be just fantasy.
Oh, and the other interesting wrinkle in the Green Party self-destruction is the National Post has been covering the story as well. And the National Post, I mean, it isn't quite as much of a political mouthpiece as the Globe and Mail is, or as my dad calls it, the Glob and Flail. But it's aligned with the Conservative Party, and even they were like, "Dude, what is happening in the Green Party right now? She does not deserve this." Yes, I enjoy coming up with unflattering nicknames or hearing of unflattering nicknames that other people have come up with for newspapers. The when I lived in Kingston, the local rag was called the Kingston Wig Standard, which of course was nicknamed the Kingston Substandard.
Oof. That dry Canadian wit.
The local paper in Victoria, where my sister used to live, was the Times Colonist, otherwise known as the Times Communist.
I can get behind that. Let's see.
It's hard to come up with a good nickname for the Vancouver Sun.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got faux news for Fox News, like Amanda just said.
Makes sense.
Otherwise, I mean, like, the worst that most of them get is they just say, you know, like, oh, you know, Trump's big thing was you know, the New York Times, they're failing, despite being one of the, you know, still consistently read papers in the country.
Yeah, I was required to subscribe to the New York Times for a class that I took at one point.
Did you get reimbursed?
Oh hell no.
Seems an onerous tax on your education.
I mean, we did get a discount, because I guess, you know, everybody who took the class had to subscribe to the New York Times, so we had something of a volume licensing or something or other. It wasn't, I mean, compared to textbooks at least, it wasn't that expensive.
So it's like I've had classes where they've been like, hey, you're gonna need to buy a copy of Ayn Rand's The Fountainhead, and I've been like, I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah, SFU is actually pretty good about creating course packs, which is, you know, they would photocopy sections of books and articles for you to read, and then put them all together in like a reader.
Yeah, we don't. American universities, at least, you know, in like the, at least I'd say in the baccalaureate level, don't bother with that sort of shenanigans. They want to get you for all the money they can.
Tuition down there is so expensive. Oh my goodness.
It sure is. But you know, you can pay it off for the rest of your life if you really want to get that English degree.
Need to look up real quick what SFU's credit. Yeah. So per unit for normal credits, SFU's basic tuition fee is $154.
I am very sad right now.
I mean, admittedly, most classes are 3 units at least, so 3 to 5 units. But I get sticker shock whenever I see tuition rates for places that aren't here.
Yeah, I mean, my only logical response can be to go, haha, unit.
Yeah, I mean, admittedly, it's more expensive if you're not local, but it's, so let's see, international students, it's $487 per credit hour.
I mean, that does help a little bit. Like the resultant Schadenfreude makes me feel a little bit less sad and mopey. Yeah, but I went to a private Christian university my first run at college, the one that didn't stick, and they were, I want to say, $370 per credit hour.
Oh, also keep in mind the exchange rate. So, like, take 30% off the top.
Yeah. It's still cheaper to go to Canada or to move to Canada and go to school.
I mean, the cost of living in Vancouver is pretty insane, but in terms of tuition, yes. And like, how much does it cost to rent someplace in Texas?
Dependent. I mean, it's been a while since we've been in the rental market, but uh, you're looking at probably uh, 850 to 1,000 a month for a one bedroom like studio apartment.
Hmm.
Like it ain't good. But some places are cheaper than others, so.
Makes sense. So it looks like the average rent for a studio apartment in Burnaby is $1,560.
Yeah, like Amanda did the math and says our mortgage is about the same as yours, so.
Cool. I suspect you have considerably more house for your mortgage dollars than we have.
We're kind of like we're the smallest house in our area. I've always liked to say that I'm working on actively bringing down the property values as my quiet act of defiance.
Yeah, your place is approximately twice the size of ours. Um, Partially by virtue of being an actual house as opposed to a townhouse.
That's all right. We make up for it in our healthcare costs.
I mean, I live in one of the least affordable housing markets on Earth, so I'm not surprised.
Yeah, it's one of the like we keep seeing all of these things about like apartments in New York where you've got four people paying like $3K a month to live in a closet, and I'm like, good God. However, that said, they're pulling in $3K a month, so.
Yeah. I remember having making the questionable decision to talk about the housing market with some older relatives of mine. One family holiday semi recently, having them say, "Well, people these days expect finished basements and double pane windows," and I was like, "Basements?
The kids these days with their electric ice boxes and their interwebs.
Like, I mean, yeah, okay, we have double glazed windows, but like, I live on our townhouse is a single level. Like, I don't. We have a den, I guess, that occupies the place of a basement.
Where are you gonna put the wine cellar?
Yeah, right. I need my avocado toast storage facility.
Yeah. How can you be expected to entertain when the contestant comes by?
I remember. Did you ever see that series, My Tiny House, or Tiny House Hunters, something like that, of people who just want to radically downsize?
No, but then again, I don't watch a lot of television. I watch a lot of YouTube, but like shows that come on, I'm like, meh. I'll just catch the highlights.
That's fair. I mean, I feel like I basically told you everything that you need to know about the premise for the purpose of this anecdote.
It tracks. No, but like even like the normal size House Hunters show are always guys that are like, I tame local squirrels and my wife is like an applied phlebotomist. Our budget is $9 million, and I'm like, how?
Yeah, but the tiny house show, I was watching it. I was down at my sister's place, and I tend to watch a lot of reality TV when I'm visiting my sister. So I was just sort of watching the show, and some of the quote unquote tiny houses or other sort of house adjacent spaces that were also tiny were larger than places we had looked at when we were looking for a condo or townhouse.
Oh no. And nothing drives in your situation like people saying, "Hey, check out this tiny house," and you're like, "It's bigger than my place."
Yeah, it's It's not unusual to have places under 500 square feet in downtown Vancouver. Not that we were looking in downtown Vancouver, but...
But still, at least you're surrounded by, like, culture, right? In theory.
I mean, there are a lot of great places to eat in downtown Vancouver. I kind of
signs to keep the bears away.
It's more of a North Bend issue. I mean, I kind of miss the days when I was downtown more often than I am now, but it's too expensive. That's what it is.
And eventually we'll all reach a state where we realize that money isn't real. Neither is the housing market. At least we can dare to dream. Like we've hit a point, I think, here in America where we have more empty houses than we have homeless. But since they haven't figured out a way to, you know, like, they haven't quite figured out a way to functionally juice the homeless into something that will make them money. So we're just going to stay empty and, you know, just depreciate in value.
Goodness.
That's the aggravating aspect, is that it's like, man, you could just end homelessness. You could just decide that that wasn't a thing that you wanted societally anymore.
Well, the preferred go-to policy package for quote-unquote cooling the housing market is to tighten mortgage eligibility, which doesn't actually cool the housing market, it just inflates rents, is what it does, because those first-time home buyers who can now no longer qualify for a mortgage still need some place to live.
I don't know. Sounds like communism to me.
I mean, admittedly, there's a bit more to the policy options these days. We have a vacant housing tax where we're required to declare every year, no, we actually live here. Oh, have to fill out a form. So that's something anyway.
Being an adult is fun.
Yes, I can recall in the before times when I was on a cruise, when I went to the restaurant on board for lunch, and when you go there for lunch, you don't have assigned seating. You just sort of get put randomly at tables with people. And so I mean, I don't mind. Get a chance to meet and speak with some new people, and one of the people at the table became very agitated when he heard that I was Canadian, which is not really a reaction I'm used to, but and he says, you know, he leans over the table and he's like, "Can I ask you a question?" I'm just sort of like, sure. It's like, how can people afford to live in Canada? And I was like, what? And he was aggrieved because he was having to pay property taxes on his second home, and he was deciding to be upset at me about it across the table of this 5-star restaurant that we were in. You know, so clearly the guy was hurting for cash. So.
Right. On the cruise, you find those hard luck stories.
I guess.
I mean, like, I could barely afford to pay for my luxury boat. See, I've never been on a cruise, but then again, I'm also phobic of sharks, so fairly certain I wouldn't want to be on one.
I did not see any sharks.
That's how they get you. They're sneaky.
Do sharks live in the North Pacific? I don't even know.
I mean, I don't know, but with my luck, I would be the first guy to be like, yeah, it's craziest damn thing. Dude was on the deck of a cruise, enjoying the winter air. Shark breached out of the water and got him. We didn't even think they went up this high.
Yeah, so
I know.
apparently,
I know that they
great
go as
whites, they
far
currently
north as
migrate
Maine.
between Mexico and Hawaii. So let's see. What shark species live in Canada's coastal waters? There we go. It was an Alaska cruise, so. Oh, there are apparently some sharks, but they're like the small ones. It's like.
See, they get you to underestimate you, and that's how they do it.
I didn't know you were shark phobic.
I had I had an experience. I went to Australia when I was 16 as part of a student ambassador program called People to People. And while there, one of the activities that they had scheduled for us was snorkeling in the Great Barrier Reef, which was wild and cool. But there was a thresher shark that they missed when they did the initial dive, and it was about 20 feet away from me. And thresher sharks are not they're not man eaters. They're not they're not aggressive. They're just doing big fish things, and that's it. You leave them alone. They're fine.
Carrying out important shark business.
Right. They're doing shark things. And my reptile brain decided that it didn't care about the logic of it, and that I should be afraid of large bodies of water from here on out.
Oh no.
Like, I don't remember getting out of the water. I just remember waking up on the deck of the boat and being like, "Oh no, something has changed." So there's like a before and after timeline, and since that point, it's yeah, I'll like psych myself out if I'm around large bodies of water or even like rivers. The first thing that you do when you start to become afraid of something is you say, well, I should learn more about this, because the enemy of fear is understanding, right? If you are afraid of what you don't know, if you learn more about it, you'll find that there's no reason to be afraid. And the more that I learned about sharks, the more terrified I became, because they're an evolutionarily perfect animal. Like, they figured out a method that worked, and they stuck to it and went, yeah, we figured out how to turn our brains off until we either smell blood or sense electrical impulses in the water. And then we come off of standby mode and go into eat mode.
I remember playing a game called Auto Down Under as a kid, and being a shark was one of the hardest things because you just had to constantly eat in order to survive.
Yeah, it's there are a few games that I keep seeing on Steam, where it's like here you can play as a shark, and I'm like, this is my personal hell. Like, I can't do this.
I think my personal favorite was playing as the cleaner fish, whose name currently escapes me. It was a blue streak something or other, and the way that you did that was you found animals who had sort of parasites and also took small bites out of them while you were cleaning them of their parasites.
Yeah. Like a tax or like a landlord.
In this hypothetical world where landlords deal with parasites.
Go.
Not had good experience with landlords.
I'm
sure other people have, but I have not.
I doubt it. Speaking of parasites, no, I dislike the notion of housing as something that people can profit on like a base ethical level. Kind of gets tricky sometimes. My parents ran an apartment complex up until relatively recently, and I was very glad when they stopped doing that, because I'm like, yeah, when the revolution comes, I don't want to see you guys first up against the wall, Right.
Yeah, Yes, I must confess, I quite enjoyed reading the all the news stories that contained all of just the whinging from Airbnb owners who are now not getting any bookings.
Yeah.
And you know them talking about how hard it is to make ends meet with their variety of properties that they can no longer consistently fill with tourists.
Yeah, it's really difficult to be a small business owner, and by small business owner, I mean I own land and capital that I get passive income from. Yeah, that's really hard.
This is right up there with all of the snowbirds who got trapped on the American side of the border because they decided to ignore the government advisory not to travel for non-essential reasons, and were aghast at the idea of having to pay to stay in a quarantine hotel upon their return. They felt they were being punished, and it was just very unfair.
And we could. I think there will be plenty more time for people to deal with those same kind of things like this. I'm gonna say that in my prediction, this pandemic isn't going away for another ever. It'll eventually become something that we have managed, kind of like the flu, where you can get immunization booster shots yearly from your pharmacies or provided by your work or what have you. But now we're just gonna have COVID season.
Yeah, I remember my boss because we had flu shots that we were encouraged to take when I worked for the court, because of course it's a public facing institution, and so they want to make sure that we didn't become an epidemiological event. And I remember my boss declining one year and then immediately coming down with the flu.
Quelle surprise. That's yeah. We're gonna. I mean, the Delta variant. So there's a number that epidemiologists use to.
Oh yes, the R naught.
Yeah, the R naught. So we're looking at I think it's like an R 7 to 8.
Oh Lord.
Yeah. So like anything over 5 is real bad. The Alpha variant was a 3, and that was bad. Whereas something like truly horrifically virulent, like the measles, is like a 14 to 15. But yeah, we're looking at about one statistically every person that gets the Delta variant will probably infect 7 people. All that we've really, I think the only way that we can kind of get around that is by, just like was recommended the first time, pay people to stay home. I don't think it's going to happen.
Speaking of Schadenfreude, I'm quite enjoying all of the complaints of terrible employers that they now can't find people to exploit.
Mm-hmm. We can't find anybody to accept our substandard wages anymore. It's really hard for small businesses. All right, now we're in 65 million BC when we need to. Now we're cooking. I forgot that there was all that other running around that I had to do. Ooh, and we get a cutscene. I know we've already seen this cutscene, but I love her so much. She's my queen. even our protagonist is like, wow. Oh, I love her. She is named after one of the protagonists from a famous novel, The Clan of the Cave Bear, which is, I believe, I want to say it's different than famous Canadian novel Bear.
Yes, I believe you would be correct in that. Lawless bestiality, I think.
I'm not certain about that. It is a story about cave people, but it is not the story of a sordid romance with an earth sign creature. I've not read Bear. There is a part of me that is morbidly curious.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
That's after we finish Disgaea, we'll do a book club. I can hear my wife roll her eyes from another room. I have read Clan of the Cave Bear.
Yes, I am desperately curious to know what you think of this guy, and I'm looking forward to watching your reactions to various things.
There was not explicit earth sign sex scenes. It was more historical fantasy set in the caveman of times. Granted, it's been like 2 decades since I read it, so. Insinuated? I think there may have been. I think they may have hinted at the reason how the clan got their name. And been like,
I mean, anything could be an insinuated or signed scene if you read it.
Right. I mean, like I follow comic book writer Gail Simone on Twitter, and there is some debate as to whether or not she is actually a bear.
Ah.
She says
Yeah.
she's not, but that's exactly what a bear would say.
That's true.
I do have bears.
I remember meeting a foreign exchange student who was completely convinced that he was going to be eaten by a bear when he was here, and so he was going back to campus, and he was clearly like very nervous because he thought this was like an imminent thing that was going to happen. So, well, it's really more mountain lions and like cougars that you should be worried about on the SFU campus. There's not really that many bear sightings.
But you gotta watch out for those cougars, if you know what I mean.
Yes, there was an annual comic about it in the Peak. The Peak being the SFU student newspaper, cleverly named because the campus is on a mountain.
Like I've had Alaskan friends who are very much like, oh yeah, there's, every so often a bear comes through, gets into the garbage, destroys everything. You gotta shoot it, and scare it away. It's just the normal.
I mean, I've seen bears relatively sort of close up. They tend to be, unless humans have trained them to be otherwise, they tend to be a lot smarter about sort of avoiding human interaction than other megafauna.
Mm.
A friend of mine had a bear get into their garbage, and so they replaced their garbage cans with a more adequately bear-proofed model, and the bear came back and was so frustrated that he or she couldn't open the garbage can that he or she picked up the said can and hucked it at their car.
I mean, it's
I guess somehow always managed to forget how strong bears are also. So I lived a few houses down from like the chairlift not the chairlift, the gondola going up to Grouse Mountain for a while. And so, we'd get bears every once in a while. And one of them took exception to my landlord's fence and just, like, knocked it down, like, casually.
Just, this is in my way.
Yeah, basically. I've also seen bears walking along the tops of fences like gigantic cats. It's a wonder to behold.
That is terrifying to me.
They have a habit of breaking into hot tubs because apparently hot tub covers smell like honey.
Interesting. I mean, most of the bears that I know don't bother breaking into hot tubs. They just go to bathhouses. But no, but like you guys have bears. You have you've got the moose, which like we don't have really a scale of how big those things are down here.
I must confess, I have not seen a moose up very close. I remember from pictures that they are always bigger than I expect them to be.
Yeah.
We don't have a lot of moose in the area around here. There's more on the island and up north and in the interior, I think.
Like your geese are pure evil, but we've got the whole 30 to 50 wild hogs thing going on. So I think that's the biggest current wildlife threat that we've got going for us. Let's see. Gotta follow the tracks, right? Amanda, can you think of any more dangerous dangerous Texas critters that we're currently rolling with?
Doesn't West Texas have bears?
I mean, like, yeah, and if you go far enough south, we'll get like black bears. But y'all got like grizzlies and stuff. Y'all like. I was not paying attention as to where I need to go. Do I need to go to the forest maze? Oh yeah, rattlesnakes, water moccasins, ye old feral hogs, the 30 to 50.
That's why you need guns.
Yeah, well, I mean, that and the people. Yeah, the javelinas. But that like all of
a javelina? Like,
a javelina is like if you take a pig and give it if you take a pig and give it armored hide, a terrible attitude, and meth, then you have javelinas.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
I knew they were pig adjacent, but like.
Yeah, they're basically wild, like kind of like scraggly pigs. They're smaller, meaner, and yeah, like if you just kind of like take a feral hog and squish it down into a particularly ill-tempered kind of thing.
Squish it down, but make it not cute.
Right. No, they're ugly as sin. But again, most of the
DCB.
Yeah, most of the threat that they represent is to like cattle ranges. You know, like they will eat all the vegetation in an area and tear up the ground and ruin grazing. Let me see something right quick. Yeah. Less of a danger to like two people. Like you never really hear much of like a wild hog attack. Which is why that dude got dragged on Twitter for being like, well, how am I supposed to defend myself from the 30 to 50 feral hogs? Everybody went, where are you living?
hog in this case is a metaphor for people.
Yeah. Like the hog swarm that drops upon your children. Yeah. Now we do have 95% of the world's venomous snakes now are indigenous to Texas. We also have more tigers than we should. But that's because our laws are notoriously lax about exotic animal trades.
Yeah, not while I was in Texas, but I have seen water moccasins. We don't tend to have very many venomous snakes in this part of the world. It's a little cold.
Too cold.
Part of the year, at least.
Yeah, as Amanda points out, hogs and javelies are dangerous if you encounter them in the wild, but hogs are more dangerous because they're either too fearless or too stupid, and will just they'll just kind of hang out in the middle of a road and let you smack them with your car.
Yeah, moose are kind of like that too, from what I understand, at least. Like, if you hit a moose with your car, the moose might be fine.
Your car will not be. Yeah.
Your car will not be.
It's like running into a concrete barricade with antlers.
Mexican eagles, eh?
Yeah. They'll tear up cattle. We do have some alligators, again, due to animal trade and also proximity to Louisiana. So you can occasionally, like on some Texas lakes and rivers, you can occasionally be like, is that a log or nope, it's a gator. But like you'll see these pictures come out of Florida of this massive dinosaur alligator just like walking across a golf course, and you go, nah, that's not ours. Ours tend to run into too much competition from the water moccasins. Just gonna luminary these guys. Yeah, deer dangerous to cars. We had like a while back. We had like a possible outbreak of a zombie deer virus, like some sort of wacky parasite that infected local deer, and yeah, it's a whole thing. Yeah, chronic wasting disease. It is true in South Texas, and I want to say West Texas. We do have mountain lions, although ours are. I'm not sure if they're distinct from cougars. We call them pumas as well. I don't know. I never really went camping, so I have forgotten a lot of this information.
Apparently, they're the same animal: mountain lion, puma, and cougar.
Ah.
So says Google, anyway.
Excellent. We just thought, this needs a snappy name. Puma.
Also, the melanistic version is panther.
Yep. I always thought that panthers were the melanistic versions of jaguars. That we just couldn't see the if the entire animal is melanated, but you can't see the distinctive black spots. Yeah, coyotes not that dangerous.
Panther is a black big cat of some description.
Right. No, we have our little tiny panthers, and they keep us pretty happy. Right now, I'm reaching down to scratch the head of our smallest little parlor panther. He's a sweet boy. So we like our black cats tiny. Although I will admit there is like a level of like semi-morbid curiosity. I would like to interact with a big cat at least once in my life because I get along well with tiny cats, and I would like to see if that carries over. At the same time, I'm not going to get my face torn off. Like,
I high-fived a lioness one time, which is considerably less impressive when I clarify that there was plexiglass between me and her and she was asleep at the time.
that works.
And she'd crashed out with her paw against the glass and was like, "Oh, yes."
It seems the best way to do it, in my opinion.
Yes, I enjoy watching the videos for Big Cat Rescue.
Yeah, where it's like, we gave this panther a box. Like, here's a refrigerator box. See what the panther does. It is just a gigantic version of your house cat.
Or testing to see if the big cats enjoyed catnip.
Yeah, and they're just bombed out of their gourds. I love that stuff.
Some of them did. Some of them were looking at the camera like, "Am I joking you?"
But simultaneously, like it both serves as the, oh, look, the big cats are just big versions of our cats. It also serves as the subtle reminder that if our cats could get away with tearing off your face and eating you, they would. They just recognize that they're tiny. That's true. In East Texas, be wary of natural bodies of water. We also have like alligator gar and all kinds of terrifyingly aggressive fish. Fire ants are no joke, but they won't kill you unless you have a particular allergy. That's true. And in South and West Texas, it is very common to wear snake boots. In Abilene and local surrounding areas, we had an annual rattlesnake roundup. Where yeah, they would bring like diamondback rattlesnakes by the hundreds of thousands to millions, all to one location, where they were then, like skinned and used for meat and all that fun stuff.
Boy, I can't remember if I've had rattlesnake. I don't think so. I've had gator. That was interesting.
It's comparable. It's reptile meat. They say it tastes like chicken, and that's a lie. But the only reason for that is because we've bred our chicken to be especially tender and meat-producing.
Less reptilian.
Less reptilian. It's all dinosaur. Alright. Ah, Azala. Yeah, sure, we'll tell Azala about the gate key. They're not going to believe us. And now my personal favorite boss, Swolosaurus Rex. See, the Roadrunner is the natural predator to the rattlesnake. Yeah, both Amanda and I, graduates of the baccalaureate program, so named for said Roadrunner. We've got all. I mean, we're a big region. Not like Canada big, but Texas has 5 distinct geographical regions behind them, so our wildlife is pretty wide and varied.
Makes sense. Yes, my school's mascot is McFog the dog.
McFog?
Yes.
Huh. We have McGruff the crime hound. This is just a dog who's a cop.
Oh, my bad. sad. Apparently, McFog the dog is no longer SFU's official mascot.
McFog has been deposed?
Apparently.
By whom?
Oh no, no. This was a satirical article. You got me, the peak.
Damn you, Canada's version of The Onion.
Yes, he is a mustachioed, kilt and tam wearing terrier.
Oh, so you got like a little Scotty dogs. Wearing dog with a red mustache. I can get behind that.
I've put a picture in chat.
Oh gosh. I cannot see it, but...
Sorry, I should have clarified. Discord chat.
Oh, okay, Discord chat. I see. Oh, that is precious. Hang on a sec. I gotta... Look at this. Look at this feisty little guy. I love it. McFog the dog. You know,
Yes,
there has.
Guess what our team names are.
I pay no attention to sports, so you're on your own on this one.
Let me put it to you this way: it has nothing to do with dogs. I'm not entirely sure why our mascot is McFog the dog. Our team name, the SFU team name, is the Clan.
That maybe should have been focus tested. I mean, it is spelled with a C, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you're doing better than a lot of places in North Texas. We have recently had a smattering of back and forth regarding team names because they decided to change the name of the Washington Indians.
Ah, yes.
And there were people that were for, you know, I would say for some reason, but like we know the reason. It's not a huge shock to anybody. You can get a scholarship if you play the bagpipes. I know a dude who should go to college in Canada then if he wants to. Henderson, if you're watching this, go to Canada. Get some more education, just for giggles. Beats living in Houston.
The Clan Pipe Band competes internationally. I don't know how well ranked we are, but you know, we show up.
Amanda has pointed out it's the Cleveland Indians. I was thinking of the other team that is even more offensive.
Ah, yes. Well, I completely believed you. I was like, yes, that sounds.
It's plausible, right? Like Notre Dame still has the mascot of an Irish person. Like, I'm not sure what that's supposed to do in terms of. Fine. So am I supposed to leave? Okay, fine. I'll wait around. Yeah, Cleveland changed to the Guardians, and there were people who were rather miffed about that. Yeah, generally speaking, just like don't name sports teams after people, right? Like animals is good. That's how the few times when I have done sports betting, it has always been on which animal would win in a conflict in the wild. Uh, and it's really hard to do that when it's like who would win in a fight, the Florida Panthers or the Fighting Irish, and I'm like, this just gets awkward.
Well, neither of my alma maters have team names that would be amenable to that strategy, because there's the Clan, and then when I was at Queens, it was the Golden Gales.
Yeah, ACU had the Wildcats, and then UTSA had the Roadrunners. So, in theory, the Wildcats would win, but that's not true. All right, we got our Masamune. We go back to Frog. Yeah, Wildcat does seem like a bit of a misnomer. It's the same kind of thing. Speaking of clans, if you look at like the various clan symbols of Scottish clans, you get all kinds of wild stuff. Like I want to say it's Clan Garfield has as their clan badge just like a picture of a cat and a warning not to touch it. It's like, don't touch this cat. And like there are various sub clans that have similar things. Don't touch this cat unless you're wearing a glove. Be wary. If you touch the cat, this cat bites back. That kind of thing. But from the get-go, it's just sort of simplified into, hey, you see this thing? Don't touch it.
Seems legit.
It's pointy on 5 out of the 6 ends. Very aggressive. Not a fun cat.
That's the what distinguished my experience of Queen's sports, other than caring considerably more than I did about SFU sports. This cultural thing was weird. Kingston is really like a university town. On game days, they would shut down the main thoroughfare to have a spirit parade, and I could. It was good for me because I could catch a ride on the spirit wagon from the main campus to the other campus, which is where I lived, because I happened to live near where the stadium was. So it meant I watched more football that year than I ever have before or since. But the Queen's fight song is in Gaelic, which is really cool.
Irish Gaelic or Scottish Gaelic?
I'm not entirely sure. I've been trying to find it here.
Huh. I had my buddy Tom asked me a question. How would you pronounce something? Using the rules of Gaelic, and I had to. Yeah, I'm taking like the Duolingo courses for Scottish Gaelic. I used to speak it fairly decently conversationally back when I had like more time to sort of devote to it and my brain wasn't as calcified. But I'm getting back up to where I was. And the rules of the sounds are very, very strange. Like, they divide. First off, there's only 16 consonants and the 5 vowels, and they divide both consonants and vowels into slender or broad. So certain consonants will make different sounds if they follow a broad vowel versus if they follow a slender vowel. So like the combination. Yeah, oihil. Yeah, I think that might be Scott Gaelic.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
That seems to be the consensus on the internet.
Because there is a distinct difference between the Scottish and Irish forms of Gaelic. Like, they follow different grammatical rules, and like adhere to different linguistic structures, and it's really wacky. And of course, I personally find it, while I would say a beautiful language, it does often sound like you're choking on something.
The Arrogant Worms did a song about that.
They did. I sang part of it to Amanda last night, and she was rather amused. We sing the song that our father sang to us. On man we watu, on man we manai. Kind of similar.
We never surrendered. Well, actually, we surrendered quite often, but we were never fully wiped out.
I love those guys. That was a weird little thing. Like, back in the early days of like the internet and file sharing, you would find like just these random MP3 files that were skits from like the Arrogant Worms, Three Dead Trolls in a Baggie, all of these little Canadian sketch comedy groups that were like flooding the internet with their stuff. You know, Moxie Fruvis.
Once I was the king of Spain.
Yep. Which, mid early 2000s, that was like, this is the weirdest music that I've ever heard, and I'm gonna get really into it. Of course, prior to that, our only real exposure to Canadian pop culture was the prevalence of the bare naked ladies in the late '90s, and Bryan Adams, but we kind of ignored it.
You ever hear any Great Big Sea?
No, they didn't. I don't think they ever really got big. At least in like the southern states.
I meant more in general.
No.
Oh, you should look them up. They are a treat.
Great Big Sea?
Yes, sir.
I will make a note of that. It's the kind of thing like I've always been a big fan of Rush, and I think they're Canadian. Gordon Lightfoot is Canadian, right?
Yes, indeed.
Let's see, got Delta Storm. Do we have? Yeah, we got Triple Attack. All right, now we're just gonna go this one. All right.
I have put the spelling in chat.
Great Big Sea, sweet.
They do a lot of so they're from Newfoundland, and they do a lot of sort of traditional sort of Newfoundland songs, in addition to sort of more modern. I say they do, but they more did at this point.
I think that I am going to get to the Magic Mountain, and we're going to call it there for the night, because the glue fumes have finally caught up to me, and I'm very, very tired. But Jess, thank you so much for joining and regaling us with stories of Canadian politics.
More like ranting, but
no, this is good. This is the kind of thing that I want. The entire focus of like this channel is I want to build a community for people, and the Canadian outlook is so vastly different from what we get like down here in Texas, and especially what I get as a leftist in Texas. It's good to remind that there are these other political processes and work, and part of it that even makes me a little bit hopeful, strangely enough, that maybe someday we'll be able to call random ass recall elections on people that we don't have confidence in. That'd be lovely.
In BC, you can do that via popular vote. If you get enough signatures on a petition, you can call a recall election.
Dare to dream, fellow viewers. Dare to dream.
I don't think it's ever actually happened, but it is a possibility.
but it could. All right, let's get through this cutscene and get to save point. No ending tonight, unfortunately, but we will get to our next one soon. Right after we beat Magus, we're going to go back to the Cavern of Time and see how we've messed things up. So we have laid the groundwork for the next ending on Chrono Trigger. Let me skip the cutscene. Actually, hang on a sec. I'll be right back. I'm going to pop over and use the restroom real quick. So hang tight for just a moment, folks. Oh, okay. So I am back. If you enjoy having a lot of endings, this guy has quite a few. All of some are pretty hard to get without deliberately aiming for them. We're going to aim for them. Oh, we are going to aim for them. Like one of the endings of Chrono Trigger, one of the last ones I think that we'll get, just requires me to lose? So, I don't want to do that. Alright, the badge, the hero's badge, sad, sad music. Give the man his sword. Or just stick it in the ground, that's fine. That's... So yeah, as we come to an end here, make sure to check out Great Big C. Pay attention to your local politics and international politics. It's fun. There we go. And, you know, as always, go and get vaccinated. Please, if you haven't gotten vaccinated yet, please go get vaccinated. If you have gotten vaccinated, remember the old days where we'd, like, wash our hands and wear a mask and stay the hell away from people? Do those things again, because this Delta variant's not going anywhere soon. So, you know, be safe out there. Have a lovely night, Jess. Thanks for joining us. Please let me get to his place where I could save. I am very tired. I would like to go to sleep, and I still have to have Duolingo shout at me in Gaelic. There we go. Boss Frog. Alright, and we're just gonna pop and save right here. Boom. Alright, as always, thank you all again for joining us. I try to do this every Saturday, although sometimes my schedule gets all wild around me and I forget. But yeah, Chrono Trigger. Next time, we'll beat Magus and have an ending and see exactly what happens if we decide to confront Lavos following that momentous event. Get your vaccines, be safe, be kind out there. I love you guys, and we'll see you next time. Take her easy.